Welcome to Literary Libations with Librarians. And this time we're talking about mysteries because May is Mystery Month. As we share our mysterious titles, if you'd like to get your hands on any of them, there are several ways to go about doing that. The quickest and probably the most efficient is to simply call your local branch of the Monroe County Library System and speak to the staff there, and they'll be more than happy to assist you. If you are looking for a physical version of one of our titles, a hardcover or paperback, those are available and can be requested through our online catalog, and that web address is on your screen now. You'll also see that some of the titles that we talk about are available digitally via one of our provided apps. Some of them will be available through Libby, and Libby provides downloadable ebooks and audiobooks and also magazines. And some of them may be available through Hoopla, which also provides downloadable ebooks, audiobooks, and also movies, music, and graphic novels. And the great thing about Hoopla is if you see the lightning bolt next to a title, it means that there is never a wait for that title. And you and all of your friends can check out the same title at the same time if you want to. I am Jennifer Graneski. I am the community librarian at the Dundee Area Libraries. And our introductory question for this time is, when you read a mystery, are you a skip ahead and peek at the ending sort of person, or are you a wait and be surprised sort of person? And I am definitely a wait and be surprised sort of person. I want to see what happens. I don't want to know in advance. That does get a little tricky sometimes if you're doing graphic novels. If you've read graphic novels, it's really hard sometimes not to, notice what's happening on the next page, or you're just closing the book and you accidentally see something. And particularly if it's a horror or a thriller graphic novel, sometimes you're seeing terrible things happen to characters. And then you're like, now I know. But it is what it is. But normally I want to wait and be surprised and see what happens. Also with us this week is Jessica Otto, our head of the collections department. And are you a peek ahead or a wait and be surprised person, Jessica?
I am absolutely a wait and be surprised. I am not just a reader of mysteries, but I like to sort of actively engage with the attempt to solve whatever mystery or crime is presented. And in order to try to do that, I need to collect all the facts, get all that data, find out all the information. That does not mean that I ever solve the mystery or the crime, hardly ever, but still, I enjoy it. So nope, no peeking ahead for me.
Thank you, Jessica. Also with us is Ashley Lyford, the community librarian at our Frenchtown area libraries. And which one are you, Ashley? Peek ahead or wait and see?
I'm generally wait and see, but I am guilty of peeking ahead sometimes, occasionally. I'm not a detective or sleuth like Jessica is. So generally something in the book will happen that makes me really panicky, like maybe to a favorite character or something. And I'm like, oh gosh, oh no. So I'll just like look ahead to make sure like their name is still listed later on in the book, or, something like that. I don't read the specific details. I need to make sure my people are still there.
I can understand that. And finally with us this week is Jen McCarty, the circulation supervisor at our Ellis branch. And which one are you, Jen?
I'm generally a wait and see as well, although I will admit there was a period of time, I think like high school age, where I would read the last page of every book, like regardless if it was a mystery or not. And then I got to the point where I was like, well, this is dumb. Why am I spoiling myself? So now I refrain and I don't do that. But there was a moment in time where I was a skip ahead, but now I'm a wait and seer.
All right. A transformation.
Yes.
All right. And to kick us off, sharing their mysteries, I'm going to ask Jessica if she would go first for us, please.
Absolutely. My first title is Kiss the Girls by James Patterson. So this 1995 mystery is the second book in the popular Alex Cross series. If you're not familiar with Alex Cross, he is a detective and a psychologist based in Washington, D.C. And one day, he returns home to find several cars parked outside his home. He recognizes the cars belonging to his family members, but he's confused because he wasn't expecting any company. When he goes inside the house, he finds out that his niece, Naomi, who is a student at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina, is missing. So Cross heads to North Carolina with his police partner, John Sampson, to investigate Naomi's disappearance. In North Carolina, they meet up with local detectives Nick Ruskin and Davy Sykes, who inform them that there are several women are missing, not just Naomi, and that they are being assisted in the case by both the FBI and the DEA. So not long after Cross arrives in North Carolina, a young physician, Dr. Kate McTiernan, arrives at a local hospital after escaping a place where she was being held captive with several other women. Cross visits Kate in the hospital to see if he can talk with her. At first, she is basically unresponsive. She is dealing with the effects of a certain sedative, but once he determines what that is and they're able to flush that out of her system, she sort of wakes up and recalls that she was being held captive by a man who called himself Casanova. She tells Cross she remembers speaking to another captive named Naomi, which gives Cross hope that his niece might still be alive. And although she does remember some things about Casanova, his voice in particular, he at all times whenever she saw him, he always had a mask on that covered the majority of his face. So she never actually saw his face to know who this person was. So once Kate recovers from her injuries, she and Cross must race against time to find the location where she was being held captive, rescue the other victims, and stop Casanova before he can strike again. So I first read Kiss the Girls when I was in high school. It was the first Alex Cross book I read. So if you're wondering why did I read the second book in the series first, well, that's because in '97 there was a movie version of the book released starring one of my favorite actors, Carrie Elwes, and so I was like, oh, I gotta see this movie. And then I did, and then I was like, oh, I gotta read the book. So of course I checked out a copy from my local Monroe County library system and took it with me on a vacation. I'm really glad I took it on a vacation to read it because I just ate this book up. For me, it was literally unputdownable. I just wanted to just read more and more. I really like that it has these short chapters and it has some great pacing. So I would just be like, oh, I'm just going to read 3 or 4 more pages of another chapter. And then I'd be like, no, I need another chapter. So it was just, it gripped me from the first page and it did not let up until the final word. So as I said, this is the second book in the series. If you're someone who likes to start with the first book, wants to read the series in order, the first book in the series is called Along Came a Spider, which is also available through the Monroe County Library System. So I highly recommend this book to fans of thrillers or mystery, although I will give a word of caution that this mystery, it's not a cozy or a cute pun or a warm and fuzzy mystery. This is an intense psychological thriller that delves into some pretty dark material at times. So if that's not your thing, maybe skip this one. But if you're up for that, certainly I highly recommend the book and of course the movie, which you can also get through the library system. So my next title is actually a mystery for all ages. It is Secret Agent Splat. This is part of the Splat the Cat series by Rob Scotton. So if you aren't familiar with Splat, he is a young cat who lives with his parents and sister, and his best friend is a mouse named Seymour. And he just, in all his books, he just has different adventures, whether with his family or at school. And in this particular book, we learn that Splat's dad has a hobby of making duck toys, and he makes them and gives them to Splat. And Splat, he is very protective of his duck toys. He has a room full of special shelves for his ducks. He puts them all in their same spot, and then he has names for all the ducks, and their little name tags are on the shelf too. So one day, Splat is very disturbed to discover that one of his ducks, his red duck, Frank, is missing. He is just beside himself. Who messed with my ducks, he says. The next day, when he goes back into his duck room, he finds that the blue duck is missing, but stranger still, Frank the red duck is back, but he is missing his beak. Splat at this point is just beside himself, so he knows he has to investigate and just find out what's going on with these ducks. So, of course, the first thought is he asks all his family members. No one knows anything about what happened to the ducks. So it's up to Splat to learn the identity of the Mr. Nobody that is messing with his ducks. To solve the mystery, Splat turns to his favorite show, Secret Agent Cat. He develops a cunning plan, which he cleverly draws out on paper with colored pencils while he is upside down. Splat knows he must become Secret Agent Splat. Splat uses a spy kit full of top secret gizmos to get to the bottom of the disappearing ducks. Will Splat solve the crime? Will his cunning plan work? Will he learn the identity of Mr. Nobody? Well, for that, you'll have to read the book. I found this to be a fun and enjoyable entry into the Splat, the cat series. One of my favorite things about picture books is when they reference other things in pop culture that maybe the parent reading them would understand more than the kids. And in this aspect, this did not disappoint. There was all kinds of Sherlock Holmes type references in the outfits that Splat wears when he becomes his alter ego secret agent. Splat and all of his top secret gizmos made me think very much of Inspector Gadget. So I highly recommend this for fans of the series, or if you're just looking to introduce the marvelous mystery genre to your little ones. And also, if you're just a fan of mysteries about ducks, this might also be your thing. We have like 5 or 6 of those in the system, so we've got you covered.
Good.
So, that's my 2 titles.
So we have 5 or 6 mysteries about ducks in the system.
I actually looked this up, and it wasn't something I've looked up before. Most of them were mysteries involving some kind of rubber ducky, strange rubber duckies appearing or disappearing. One was a book about a duck that is a detective. So.
Of course.
And I'm sure James Patterson is very soon to write a book about a mystery about ducks. It's it's one of the things he hasn't done yet. So very soon.
Hysterical. Who knew? Mysteries and ducks. Thank you, Jess.
You're welcome.
And because your cookies are making me hungry, I'm going to ask Jen to share her mystery titles next.
All right. Well, let's start with the cookie book. So my first book is The Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder by Joanne Fluke. And as scary and thriller and a little bit dark as Kiss the Girls is, this one is the absolute opposite. I love a good cozy mystery that you can read, and even though it might have some, murder and mayhem, like, it's real chill. So this book follows Hannah Swenson. She is a baker in a small town in Minnesota, and she's recently opened her bakery. That's the word for that, the cookie jar. So she's moved back to her small town. She's going through all the stuff. She's got a brand new bakery. She's trying to be successful. She's got her mom, who's like trying to constantly fix her up with people, and her sister and brother-in-law who are, families where they're annoying. But everything is going pretty well for Hannah. She's trying to make her bakery work. She's getting really popular. And then someone dies in her bakery, surrounded by her chocolate chip crunchy cookies, and this will not stand because there's someone in her bakery who is dead, and her cookies are involved, and we are not going to slander the cookies. So Hannah decides she needs to do something to solve this mystery. So Hannah starts investigating. Of course, you know, there's a little bit of hijinks that ensue. Was someone involved from the bakery? Was someone involved, you know, someone in her life? Why was this person murdered? Why was this person murdered in her bakery? Hannah's got to figure all this all out before the cookie jar gets a bad name. This book is super cute, a very fast, easy read. It's also a movie. If you are a Hallmark movie fan, this book has been made into a movie. The title is not the same. I can't remember offhand what the actual title. Oh, it's called Murder, She Baked. That's what the title is. It's Murder, She Baked. It's a Hallmark movie. So feel free to look that up if that's your thing as well. But the book is great. And another thing that I love about this book is because Hannah is a baker, this book includes recipes, including her chocolate chip crunchies cookies, which have a secret ingredient, and I'm going to give it away because I've actually made them and they're delicious. It's cornflakes, which sounds really weird, but it works. It makes them like crunchy and chewy, and they're delicious.
Nice.
So if you like cozy mysteries, light mysteries, a little bit of romance kind of thrown in there, and if you like recipes, this book is an excellent option. So Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder, very fun book. My next book is less of like a traditional mystery, but it's definitely a mystery to me, and it's also a mystery to our main character, Lexi Smart. So this book is called Remember Me, and it's by Sophie Kinsella. And this book occurs, our main character's name is Lexi, and she is going out for a night with her friends, and they're at a bar, and everything is great. And when she leaves, she falls. And the next thing she remembers is she wakes up in the hospital, and she's thinking, oh my gosh, that fall must have been really bad. Oh, it's also a backtrack a little bit. She's worried as she's leaving this bar because the next day is her dad's funeral. So yeah, so she wakes up. Oh my gosh, that fall must have been really bad. What time is it? Did I miss my dad's funeral? Is everything okay? And as people start coming in, she realizes that something is not right. Her body is different. As she looks in the mirror, her hair is different. Her face is different. Her teeth are different. Her teeth were a little crooked before. Now they're perfectly straight and white. And then a guy comes in and says he's her husband. And Lexi learns that 3 years have passed from the last thing she remembers to now. And she didn't hit her head falling off that, curb or whatever that night so many years ago. She was in a car accident about a week ago. But she does not remember the 3 years between going to the bar with her pals and waking up in the hospital. And in those 3 years, she's dieted. She has given up carbs, which she thinks is ridiculous. What on earth would ever make her give up carbs? She's gotten, her teeth fixed. She has changed her hair. She's gotten a brand new job where she's like a high business powered woman now. And she's gotten married, and she doesn't remember any of it. So the whole mystery here is what happened to Lexi? What made her completely change herself? And as she starts to get back into her new life, she realizes that her besties that were with her that night at the pub, she isn't really friends with them anymore. In fact, they kind of don't like her anymore. She's got this husband who seems on paper perfect, but as she's getting back into life with him, she's realizing, do I even like this guy? How did I end up marrying this guy? And why did I give up carbs? Whoever thinks this is a good idea? And there's a lot of sort of mysteries that Lexi has to figure out. What made her make all these changes? And some of it involves her dad. So she did attend his funeral and something happened there, but she doesn't know what it is, and no one seems to want to tell her anything. So this whole book is Lexi figuring out who she is now versus who she was the last thing she remembers. What happened in those 3 years? Does she want to be this new person, or does she kind of want to be a little bit in between Sophie of 3 years ago and Sophie of now? And what brought her to this point to begin with? This is a very fast read. If you've ever read any Sophie Kinsella, a lot of her stuff is super fun. Like I said, it's less of a traditional mystery, although there's definitely a lot of mystery there. It's amnesia. Like, who doesn't love a book with amnesia? I can't pass one up, I can tell you that much. It's just a lot of fun and figuring out, what Sophie's life has become, what Sophie's life was, what were the things that happened in those 3 years. Is this husband good? What about this mysterious other guy that's showing up and is kind of flirting with her? And what's the deal here? Because, hi, she's married. Yikes. So much good. Very, very fun. A very, very fast read. A little bit of romance. Definitely some mystery. And amnesia. You can't go wrong.
And amnesia. And now in the back of my head, I'm wondering, are there any duck mysteries with amnesia?
I bet there are, and I bet they're fabulous.
I'm sure they are. Thank you, Jen. And we'll have Ashley share her mysteries with us next.
Okay, so just a side note, these are not like all-time favorite mysteries. These are mysteries I've just read recently because, again, I'm new to this mystery genre. So I'll start with The Weekend Away. And this, I picked this one up because it actually was recently made into a movie on Netflix with Leighton Meester, and I love her from Gossip Girl, obviously. So I wanted to watch the movie, but I wouldn't let myself watch the movie till I read the book. So The Weekend Away features Orla and Kate. They're best friends. They've been best friends for a long time. They've kind of lost touch a little bit more recently because Orla had a baby and Kate is going through a divorce. So Orla has a lot of guilt that she hasn't been there for her friend Kate. So they decide to have a weekend away. They used to do this every year, but it had fallen off more recently. So they decide they're going to do it. So they go. Orla's husband is not the happiest about it just because Kate is crazy and she's kind of a partier, I guess. So he's not a fan of Orla going to a different country and doing that, but she decides to go anyways. Doesn't matter. So the first night there, they are going to go to dinner. Orla's tired, she's a mom. There's the time change, whatever. They go to dinner and Kate already has plans for them to go to a club. Orla begrudgingly agrees and they go. She gets super drunk, more so than she thought she would. So the next morning she wakes up just having passed out the night before after getting into a small little fight with her friend Kate because Kate was trying to invite two men back to to where they're staying. And Orla's like, hey, I'm married, but I don't want to do that. The guys go back anyways. So when Orla wakes up the next morning, she's like, what happened? She feels so rough that she thinks she had been drugged. So she goes to find Kate and Kate is gone. So Kate's bag, keys, wallet, all that's gone. Her clothes and everything are still there, but like her purse and stuff is gone. There's a mysterious stain on the carpet that could be wine or maybe could be blood. Orla's not sure. So she tries to go to the police to say, hey, like after trying to call Kate a million times, she's not answering. Orla goes to the police just saying, hey, my friend is missing. And they are very unhelpful. They can't really do anything for her because it hasn't even been 24 hours yet. And they're like, listen, she's probably out getting coffee, met some guy, like it's fine. Come back to us if she doesn't show up. So Orla contacts the Uber driver from the night before to see if he remembers where he took them and if he would be willing to take her back there to try and, figure some things out. So he picks her up, she goes and she goes in, the Uber driver stays in the car. The guy is completely unhelpful to her when she's asking about Kate. And then the Uber guy comes in and suddenly gets some answers. We find out that he has maybe worked with the mafia in the past and he's not afraid to use a little bit of force or, he's not afraid to make somebody talk. So the book goes on from there. In Orla's and this Uber driver's search to find Kate. At some point, Orla's husband shows up and he's not thrilled that she's just driving around with some random guy. He doesn't understand. So the whole book is just trying to figure out, okay, where's Kate? Is she still alive by any chance? What's happened? I will say the ending of the book was not what I hoped it would be. I like things to be tied up and pretty, and it was not tied up and pretty. I didn't enjoy it. However, the movie tied everything up and made it all nice. So I would suggest read the book and then watch the movie so that you have the nice, happy, tied up ending that you're looking for, if you're like me. And so the other book I read recently is called 7 Dirty Secrets by Natalie Richards. And I'm just going to read this really quick blurb. At first, it says, I know 7 secrets. 1 caused the fall. 1 did nothing. 1 saw it all. 1 didn't care. 1 used their head. 1 played the hero, and 1 was left for dead. So on Cleo's 18th birthday, she receives a box that's inviting her to do this scavenger hunt. She asks her best friend and her boyfriend if they sent it. They say they didn't. She's sure that they did, that they're just messing with her. So she starts going and trying to find these clues. Well, as she does, they get more and more kind of suspicious or mysterious because they start leading, they're referencing Cleo's boyfriend who happened to die a year ago on her birthday, on a trip that 7 people were on. And all we know is like it was accidental, but these clues are making it sound like maybe it's her boyfriend so how is he still alive? They saw him die. Sorry, that's Chewy. How's he alive? They saw him die. What's happening? Is someone just trying to mess with her, scare her? Because they keep saying they're going to go to the police, even though the police were involved. They say the police didn't get the whole story. So basically, whoever is taking her on this birthday scavenger hunt is trying to ruin her life. So at some point, her best friend gets involved, and the story just kind of takes twists and turns from there. I'm obviously not going to tell you anything. I'm going to have to stop talking before I give away the secret. Again, not great with mysteries, but it was a fun and quick read, so I recommend that one.
Excellent. Thank you, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
And for my 2 mysteries, the first is The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. And Hendricks and Pekkanen have apparently started kind of making a name for themselves in the psychological mystery genre. But this is the first one that I picked up by them. And if you like wealthy people problem novels, you should pick this up. And that's the best way that I can describe it. There seems to be a whole genre out there now in the psychological mystery thriller that are just about really wealthy people creating their own problems and then kind of making it worse throughout the course of the novel. And why that is, I don't know. I'm just guessing that wealthy people have more time and resources to do terrible things. Those of us ordinary people have to go to work and take care of kids and take care of houses and check in on parents and all those other things. So we just don't have time to do this. So if that is the sort of story that you enjoy, definitely pick up The Golden Couple. I happen to, because I see it as just a complete escape from my own reality. So The Golden Couple of the title is Marissa and Matthew Bishop, and they really do seem to have it all. They've got plenty of money. He's got a great job. They have a lovely 8-year-old son who is, of course, precocious and adorable. But that's all this veneer. And Marissa talks Matthew into going to see a marriage consultant, Avery Chambers, not a licensed therapist, because we come to find out that Avery has lost her license for reasons that are as yet unknown. Avery's got her own secrets going on, but she's made a name for herself since losing her license as a therapist, as a consultant who can solve your marriage problems in a set number of sessions. And I don't remember the number of sessions. It's like 7 or 10. And she does a particular thing at each session. And when you get to the 10th one, problem solved, which seems a little too good to be true, but it makes for a good novel because you know what each chapter is going to be bringing you. So the bishops go and see her. At the very first session, Marissa confesses that she had a one-night stand. So that's the first secret that comes out. The rest of the novel reveals darker and worse secrets, and it does seem like everybody in the novel has a secret. If a person is mentioned in this novel, they probably have a secret that they're hiding. I'm pretty sure the 8-year-old had secrets. So if you like reading a book and uncovering the secrets, pick this up. I read it in a weekend. It is a page turner. I wanted to know what happened to all of these people, but mostly I just wanted to know what terrible secrets they were hiding. So pick up The Golden Couple if rich people's secret novels are your thing. And also, I really think we need a genre label for that. Rich people's secret novels. My other one is closer to a more traditional mystery. This is The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentile. And this one is actually not going to be released until June 7th, but it is already in our library catalog, so you can get on the waiting list now. And I need to say thank you to NetGalley and Poison Pen Press for the digital advanced reader's copy that I was able to read. And first of all, I just love this cover. I don't know, it just makes me happy. It's a dark room. It's got a dusty book. Makes me happy. So this is a mystery that is a mystery within a mystery. So I'm going to try and explain it as clearly as I can. Just trust me that when you read it, it's not as confusing. So the story starts off with a letter from Leo, who is a huge fan of Australian author Hannah. And he writes her this letter telling her he's a huge fan. He's looking forward to whatever book that she's going to do next. And if there's ever anything that he can do for her, he would be willing to do that. He's interested in being a beta reader for her, which means you're reading a book as it's being developed. He's willing to do research for her. And so we read this letter. And then the next chapter is actually the first chapter of Hannah's next novel. And it appears that she has sent it to Leo. Her novel is set in Boston, and the first scene takes place in the Boston Public Library reading room, which from the description sounds amazing. So I would love to visit there someday. But it takes place in the Boston Public Library reading room. There happen to be 4 people in a particular table. There's supposed to be no talking. So the 4 people are there. There's a psychology student, there is a law student, and then there are 2 writers. They don't know that about each other yet. They're all just kind of sitting there. And then there is a blood-curdling scream. And of course, you hear a scream, but you're surrounded by strangers and you're not in a place where you're necessarily responsible for what is happening. And so they all sort of sit there and everybody in the room is looking around like, is it somebody in the room? It doesn't appear to be anybody in the room that is in distress. So nobody's quite sure what to do. Shortly thereafter, security comes in, tells everybody everything is fine. So they all kind of go about their business, but that scream breaks the ice. And so they all start chatting with each other about, well, what do you think it could have been? It didn't sound like just like a startled scream. It sounded like something terrible was happening to somebody's scream. So they start chatting with each other, form a little friendship, go out for coffee. And then the next day in the paper, it is revealed that a woman's body was found in the Boston Public Library the day before. And so this new little gang of friends decides, as new little gang of friends often seem to do in mystery novels, that they are going to figure out what happened and form their own little Scooby gang. So that is what is happening in the novel that Hannah is sending to Leo. Leo happens to live in Boston, so he sends her back notes. He's also American as opposed to Australian, which is what Hannah is. So he sends her back notes on some of the slang that maybe Americans wouldn't use. One of the writer characters in Hannah's story set at the Boston Public Library decides that they too are going to write a mystery novel set at the Boston Public Library based around the scream that this character heard at the Boston Public Library. So there's a story within a story within a story, and as you read the novel, they get more intertwined and you start to get a feeling for what might be going on both in the real world and in these fictional worlds. So it's a very fun mystery. I feel that there are enough clues there that you can figure out the ending before the big reveal. It's also a really interesting look at the writing process and how writers, particularly mystery writers, come up with their ideas and how they work. So if you enjoy mysteries, if you enjoy books about writers and writing, pick up The Woman in the Library. I don't think it'll let you down. All right, so thank you to all of you for sharing your mystery titles. Thank you to those of you who listened. The next time we get together, we will be talking about books about families, because May is National Family Month. So we'll be talking about books with unique and interesting families. Thank you again for listening. Bye.